All right, good morning, everybody. So it's been a great week for everybody so far, like it has been for us. Today actually will conclude our 12th onboarding training session. It's actually been 14 because we felt a couple of these training sessions were really important to squeeze in to our overall agenda. So what we'll be doing in the future is we'll be also holding these sessions, but on demand. We will be recording these sessions and have them available on your resource center. Look for those to be done every month, and eventually they'll be out every week. And then finally, every week will be a part of our goal to put out new content to our partners. So today, we're going to look at a couple of things as we wrap up. We're going to look at some OTT stats from 2020, some OTT stats that are predicted for 2021. And we're also going to have another final look at our recommendation engine that's going to build proposals for you. It's going to actually give you official recommendations on different industries and clients based off of thousands and thousands of campaign data and campaign stats. So that'll be coming up toward the end of the call, and then that recommendation engine also has radio involved. So as you're putting in goals for your client based off of brand awareness or anything from reach to phone calls, conversions, lift, several different goals that you'll be able to input as a recommendation engine will give you a complete and final custom proposal. But let's first dive into some more current topics. CTV and digital advertising. And obviously, I think we all know connected TV/OTT is really not just one of, but top 2, top 3 of the fast and growing channels this year. But before we get too much into OTT, this new Apple update has started to roll out finally. At the iOS update 14.5.1, it's not completely fully out to everybody. It's estimated somewhere around 20 to 40% of the rollout has already happened, but it's already starting to cause some pretty big headaches for Facebook. As you can see right here in this Insider article, it's starting to really make some impact on Facebook only with that small portion and percentage of 14.5.1 being rolling out. So about 2 weeks ago, they started doing it. Apple did, right around 2 weeks ago. And for those that don't know, the 14.5 update requires apps to serve a pop-up. A lot of you may have already seen those. If you've already been automatically updated, you may have already seen that little pop-up notification that asks you, this app is looking to track you outside of the app's activity. Are you okay with that? Allow or don't allow? So the estimate suggesting only 13 is a pretty big gap. So 40% of users are opting into being tracked, depending on the methodology. So again, this is not fully rolled out yet, but it's already starting to cause some headaches for Facebook. So as you see right here, Facebook has seen some of the lowest opt-in rates so far. So even if other apps are allowing it to track, what they're already seeing is that Facebook users have one of the lowest opt-in rates, highest opt-out rates. So what will happen with Facebook's money? And that's what you got to start thinking about. It's already starting to happen. So there's going to be a bit of disruption with budgets and where to allocate dollars. Now that Facebook isn't going to be a good viable medium still, but it is going to have some bigger challenges. As you can see right here, a lot of buyers are saying that it's getting harder and harder and harder to change their ads in real time. Facebook has removed some really big metrics, like you see right here with page views. But they've been really looking at their opt-out rates and reporting more on that. I don't think that's going to be sustainable for retention, however. And this is what I was talking about right here, with only about 12% of users that have upgraded to 14.5 so far. That's not a huge number, as you can see. So this is going to be a bigger and bigger and bigger problem for Facebook. Well, I'm not going to read this entire page here for you, but this is a couple of other quotes that are talking about moving budget away for Facebook. So if agencies like us and marketers and media people like you guys, if we were to once recommend Facebook to clients, which we still do, but I'm not going to lie and say this is not going to have an impact on how we decide a media plan. If our targeting is going to be that much limited, we're already looking to start reallocating dollars, because it is a pretty simple fact that if they're now limited in how we can target based off of interest, well, then we're basically doing just a very broad generic display campaign with very little tracking. So as an agency, we're already thinking about this, and we're already looking at alternatives. We're going to stay the course a little bit longer with Facebook, but if we start to lose performance, which we've already lost metrics, if we start to lose performance, it's going to be a pretty easy decision to reallocate thousands of dollars for Facebook into a different, more viable medium that we can actually target and track better. So if we're having that conversation, and that conversation is going on pretty heavily in the trades right now, you start looking at Facebook advertisers. You start going through your timeline. Start going through and looking at the different types of ads that you're seeing. Start paying attention to them. Look for the ones that are local. Check both your desktop and also check your mobile phone, because chances are they're going to be slightly different. A lot of times advertisers just buy ads targeting cell phones. So I would do both. I would start looking at desktop. I would start looking at your mobile phone. I would start looking at and it doesn't have to be a local client, obviously, because you can also do internet marketing virtually anywhere, as you know. But start looking at that and start writing them down. Start looking at their online presence. I would take any local Facebook client in every market, and I would start going through a lot of our software audit technology that's on your resource page, get an idea about where they're ranking, get an idea about how their website looks. And then you start to ask the question, well, Mr. Advertiser or client, what's your plan on this new rollout with privacy with Apple? How are you going to respond to significantly less targeting? Start the conversation that way. Chances are they might not even know about it until it's too late. Now let's shift back to TV for a minute. So this is an article from this week, I want to say a couple of days ago. TV advertisers are warning they'll shift their dollars elsewhere if prices get too high. So I'm curious to know what your markets are seeing and hearing for television, because nationally they're attempting to do a 20 to 30% increase overall on cost per thousand. This is on a national level. I'm curious what it is on a local level too. If anybody has any inside information about what they're seeing in their market, if you're seeing that TV stations are starting to drive rate back up, please put that in the chat, but you'll need to put your name beside it too, because the meeting is unlocked and it just says viewer. But I'm curious if you're seeing rates go up. Are they staying the same as last year? Are they holding? Are they going lower? Because nationally, they're trying pretty hard to push for a 20 to 30% increase. So ad buyers for TV, they are preparing for a big transformation, and that is OTT. That is going to be CTV/OTV. But ratings are down. So if ratings are down and sellers are trying to hike the prices, like I said, 20 to 30%, and this is based off of last year, and this is based off of 2020. So what are they going to do? A lot of advertisers, as you've been hearing about, they plan on shifting dollars to streaming. And that's where the opportunity is going to be. So this is an interesting one right here. Of the TV buyers who are already putting their money into connected TV, 73% said their budget was coming from linear TV. So we're seeing it already. I mean, we've ourselves, as an agency, we've moved significant monies away from television. And that money, we don't just put it all in OTT, CTV. We put it in OTT, CTV, custom display targeting currently, and some we have already planned out, Facebook. A lot of that is we're going for creative, viewable impressions, and that can be display, video, OTT, and CTV. But it's already happening. I mean, it's happening more and more and more. And with TV stations trying to drive rate up and talking about inventory restraints, what you're seeing is they're not, according to the national average, most of the advertisers are saying no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to pay you 20 to 30% more than last year. Your ratings are down. So now, obviously, is really the hot time to really go after those dollars, because they're starting to do the rate increase. Really, they have been for the last 45 days to 2 months. Same type of article. TV ratings keep falling. Prices keep going up. Broadcast prime time viewing fell 22% among the younger 18 to 49-year-olds. And then you see digital viewing is up 25%. So you see exactly where it's going. Same thing we just covered right here, talking about rates going up. Now, this is a quote that I wanted to also talk about just for a second, too. And it does come down to what we talk about quite often, which is why we like to show it in the dashboard whenever we can, too. ROI. You know, that term gets a little bit of a weird connotation because it's overused by everybody a little bit too much. Being able to really show and track ROI is really going to be the key the rest of the year. You will see that time and time again as money is shifting from broadcast to OTT and display and radio in cases as well. As that happens, the whole concept of attribution / ROI and trackability is going to be a conversation that's going to make an advertiser listen to you. Being able to show that, to show a transparent dashboard of exactly what's happening, the brand lift, the searches, the calls, the leads, really being able to show that is going to be one of the best topics that you can talk about this year. And having that dashboard will give you that tangible thing to show at the same time. So can radio be a benefactor of that? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it can. As things start to trend away from television, if it goes in that direction with their proposed price increase and hike, like I said, we don't put all of the TV budget just into OTT. We're able to buy OTT extremely effectively. And TV dollars are a bit inflated. I think we all know that as well. So that's where radio should come in. That's exactly where radio should come in. We start looking at these Facebook opportunities. You have a reason to call them. You have a very valid reason to call them. Their life is going to be changing very soon. They're going to be losing a lot of their impressions and clicks and targeting. And with television trying to go up in rate, you're seeing the trends of advertisers saying no. So that money needs to be and should be reallocated. And from an agency perspective, that is a very viable option in radio. If the price to value equation gets too out of whack, one agency buyer said they'd shift dollars to audio. those were iHeart, Spotify, and Pandora in his reference. So that shows radio is not just an option in my mind as an agency. Radio and audio is a very viable option for almost all agencies. Well, we know that about CTV. It is the fastest growing channel overall with the number of eyeballs and impressions. So take a look at that stat right there. We estimate CTV investment in the U.S. grew by almost 41% year over year in 2020 to more than $9 billion. So obviously this is where the big play is and probably will be for quite some time. And then I do want everyone to just note that when you think about OTT and CTV, what's really crazy is over 45% of all that inventory comes directly from YouTube. It's really mind-blowing that that's actually a stat and a fact, but that's where most of the content is housed. And then you have just different rights being passed along to publishers. So when you're thinking OTT and CTV, as you start thinking that way, the new recommendation engine is going to help you bring that buy or bring that opportunity in better. All you need to do is to bring in YouTube TV screens into your media plan, and you can have the most aggressive, best CPM that you need to, because YouTube is and should always be a part of OTT and CTV. You just watch it on the television. Growth will accelerate this year as spending reaches $13.4 billion. And that should double, as you can see, by 2025. And that's a big one too. Among U.S. marketers with digital video in their media budgets, 60% said they were shifting ad dollars from linear TV to CTV. It is happening. All right, now I want to shift gears for a minute to our recommendation engine. And with our recommendation engine, start thinking about prospects in your mind. Start thinking about categories. Start thinking about a name of a client. Start thinking about all the different categories we talked about for the last 12, 14 weeks. The ones that have high retention and really rely on digital marketing to survive. Think about the HVAC, think about the lawyers, the law firms that do estate planning, the law firms that do bankruptcy, family law, personal injury, criminal law, DUI. Think about all the different plumbers, home service clients. Think about garage door repair, restoration clients. Think about roofers. Think about construction companies, remodelers. Think about all the different categories and all the different clients that you don't talk to now. They're out there and they're spending money, but maybe you don't have as much experience in that particular industry. Well, that's where the software is going to help you. A lot of times, one of the biggest struggles for people that sell digital marketing or digital marketing with other media is what to do with a client's budget. It's a big challenge. And you don't have to be an expert to be able to figure out what you want to recommend. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to have enough general knowledge of marketing in general to know what I'm about to do should have this type of an impact. But you have some pretty generic clients that give some pretty generic answers. So one of the biggest things that you will be able to, or you will need to do, is to get a specific goal from one of your clients. I'm going to have Maggie walk you through how this is going to look, and you're going to be able to see a sample proposal that you would be able to generate with just a few clicks. It does it all for you, and you'll have really good numbers as far as what tactic and why, based off of thousands of other campaigns around the country, with this artificial intelligence giving you some really good recommendations on what to sell that will work for the client. You have full control over the attribution of where that budget should go. If you want it to go slightly more towards radio, you would move that dial slightly over towards the radio side. But you have full control, and you will be able to completely change, update, or customize the campaign. So I'll go ahead and give it over to Maggie. And Maggie, if you would, you need to request access. I can't see your name, I don't think. As long as you put 9. Just use the one that's in there.
Hey everybody, I'm going to share my screen now. So this is the proposal system. As soon as you get in here, you can add a new client, and I think Matt walked through that last week. So we'll just go ahead and use one of these clients that's already in here. You have the choice to use the campaign wizard or the custom campaign. If you know what tactics you want to use and things like that, the custom campaign is great because you can get directly to those. If you're looking for more recommendation based on the industry and the historical campaigns that have performed that we all have data to here, you can use the campaign wizard. So let's run a campaign for the rest of the year for Burgess Plumbing. The primary goal here, this is what Matt mentioned, you definitely want to have a conversation with your client and have a sense of what they want to focus on, and then when the proposal is generated, it will show this primary goal, and you can echo to them that you heard them and the tactics that you're recommending fall in line with that goal. So for this one, we'll choose general brand awareness. We're running it through the end of the year, and let's say they have a budget of $30,000. You can either choose one of the recommended budgets down here or put one in here as well. There we go. And then we'll use all of their locations. We went through this last week as well. You can customize all of their demographic targeting here. This is automatically going to pull based on the AI features and determining what is best for their recommended industry as well. We'll leave that all as is for now. And we'll go ahead and target all of Linville, Virginia right now for this client. If you wanted to expand this, you could do it at the DMA zip code all the way down to the country or the congressional district level. And then you can also customize the age, household income, and some of the other demographic options here as well. So this is the tactics that it automatically recommends. You can customize this here and say that we want to focus more on, we definitely want to have display in there. We definitely want to have OTT in here as well. Maybe they don't need live chat on their website. You can easily exit these out. Or you can add some products in here if you wanted to add radio or some of the other products in here as well. And then we'll go to budget allocation. These dotted line here are going to be the minimum based on the duration for the length of the campaign. And then you can toggle these back and forth, and it'll pull budget from some of these other categories as well. So if you want to run more in OTT, it's automatically going to pull from the display category here. You can also lock these if you want to fix the OTT budget and pull from somewhere else. And then here it's going to give you all the different options. So within display, you've got all the different types of display in here. If you don't want to use some of these, like if you're not interested in using native, you can easily exit out of those. So say we want to focus on, we don't need event geofencing for this, but maybe we want to use addressable geofencing and geofencing as well. We want to use remarketing. Don't need contextual or dynamic. We'll leave a few of these in here though. Maybe they don't have a CRM that you can target. And then we'll do OTT and CTV, and then for search engine, you have these options here. So if you want to focus more at the local level, they only need 15 keywords a month. And then later on in the campaign details, you'll be able to see and make sure that your budget lines up based on your selection here. Then we'll click finish, and this will take us to the overview of the campaign. You can review everything as you go here. But the really cool thing is the proposal generator. So as soon as you click this, it starts out with a blank template, but we've created a customized template for you guys. If you go under templates and then choose the Saga template, and then you've got a nice customized template with the Saga logo on here. This first slide has a campaign name as well as the client's name and then the dates of the campaign. On this next slide, you've got an intro that just kind of describes who Saga is and what services you guys offer. And then this is the campaign goals slide that I was telling you about that kind of echoes the choice that you made at the beginning of the campaign there, and you can echo that back to the client that I heard you. I know you want to focus on general brand awareness for this campaign, and this falls, and then once you move down to these other slides, you can say that these tactics back up that original goal that you have there. This outlines all of the targeting that you chose, and if you ever need to go back and change that, this will automatically update. Really streamlines the process, and you don't have to manually update any of this information. This slide highlights both the geographical targeting area as well as the audience size in that area, and then this is just another view of that map if you want to see a full screen there. This is one of my favorite pieces of this presentation tool. So we're working on customizing some slides for you guys for each of the tactics. This is going to be great early on in the conversation with clients when you want to show them maybe a lot of the display tactics and get a sense of which one interests them, or if there's one that they've tried in the past but didn't work well or they're not interested in, you can eliminate that. And then even further along in your conversation, you can just have the slides for the tactics that you're using. These are dynamically pulled in, so based on the tactics that we chose today, you're going to see those slides in here as well. So the display advertising is going to give you a general overview of display and the different types. And then we've got a couple of geofencing slides here that show you what geofencing is, and you can generally explain it to your client and give them a good visual of how they can draw those polygons and get them to start thinking about who they want to target and what locations. I know sometimes there can be confusion between addressable geofencing and geofencing, so this really lays it out and shows you that this is more of a demographic targeting, selecting specific households here. And then event geofencing being more concerts or sporting events and things like that. Now that they're starting to pick back up this year, this is also a great tactic to suggest to your clients. And then we've got the OTT and CTV slide, which kind of answers the questions of what's the difference between OTT and CTV, how does it work, what are some of the publishers, and some of the creative requirements as well there. And then as you keep going, you've got an overview of how you broke out the budget, and this gives you a chance to review this with the client and make any changes that they want to see here as well. This is more of your monthly overview. And then later on here, we've got a breakdown of each tactic for the total campaign duration as well. And then this just recaps the date, the geo-targeting, as well as the audience size and your tactics as well. So really nice, smooth proposal system. The biggest benefit of this is that you guys are going to have access to this, and you won't have to submit tickets. And usually our turnaround time is about 1 to 3 days on those proposals. So this will really streamline and speed up that process. You can either create this before you go to a client meeting, maybe after that CNA, and then go back and present them the proposal. But really going to speed up that process and help you guys shorten that sales cycle.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Maggie. And for the managers too, and I guess for everybody really to hear too, these can be customized a few different ways at the actual market level. So for example, some of the goals that we already have set up are reach, and I believe a couple other ones under awareness, that radio is always the default recommendation on everything. But that can also be updated to every single goal as well. That'd be something that I would want and need feedback from each of the managers in that market. But as you get your login, as Maggie pointed out, with us in general, it's going to be 1 to 3 days on proposal request. This will be live. I mean, you'll be able to run as many as you'd like. Managers will be able to see them as well, and as they need to be tweaked. If, for example, a manager wants to make sure that display or geofencing is recommended more often for certain goals, that also can be configured and customized at that level too. Radio station slides too. I would imagine that when there is a recommendation for radio in here, and again, that can be added as much and often as you like, it would be a good idea to have a couple, I wouldn't do a full media kit, but a couple of slides about the station or stations. That way, as you're going through each tactic and product, you will have your station profile and any type of a demographic or one-sheeter that needed to be in there as well. So this is something that we as an agency have been wanting to actually have, that integrated what we do traditionally with media with online media. And it's been very difficult to find, but this does have all of the major products of both sides. Television is in there, but it is inactive. So only radio is the recommendation in here with traditional media. So again, being able to take over the comprehensive total budget for a client, being able to ask for the total budget from a client, and being able to plan the entire budget for a client and give them the right recommendations has been a struggle for everybody. Being able, usually you see media buyers do half of their buy here, and then they'll do half of their planning and buying on this side, two completely different platforms, making it a bit more difficult to look at it from a bird's eye view very holistically. So what I'll ask you to do is to get with your managers to submit anything that you would like to submit on these slides. I would recommend we have individual market calls. I'll get with the managers on that so we can go through each of the different layouts and looks and what we recommend to add for the radio stations. There are plenty of tutorials and videos in here that will probably be able to answer most of the questions. However, of course, you can always use support at the Media Beast as well. All right, well, that will conclude our session. We have all 14 weeks on the Resource Center for everybody, so you can use those on demand as often as you need. We will be sending out emails next week on login credentials for each of your markets. And then we'll also have a market call with either the manager, or I'll let the manager decide, or the manager with the team, so we can go through how to build these with a little bit more radio slides in here as well. But if there's no questions, we appreciate everyone joining us over these 14 weeks and getting onboarded, and these will continue electronically on demand. And as always, if you need anything at all from our company, please feel free to reach out to either me personally but I'll try to put in a ticket also to support at the Media Beast. All right, you guys have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.